This is the plaintiff, Sonia Kostanoski. She says she informed her landlord, the defendant, she wouldn't be renewing her lease and was moving out, so he put the place up for sale. She was very cooperative in the beginning, allowing him to access the apartment and show it while she still lived there. In fact, 50 people must have seen it in a month alone. The defendant's trying to sell the thing for $1 million. Can't, and now he won't return her full security deposit because he says it's her fault it's not selling. Huh? She's suing for $1,490, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Robert Sullivan. He says the plaintiff emailed him stating she wasn't going to cooperate in allowing access to show the place to prospective buyers. And if he had a problem with it, he should talk to her lawyer. Because she made things difficult for him, he deducted money from her security and feels he had every legal right to do so. He is accused of doing it his way.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Sonia Kostanoski?
Yes.
You are suing, I'm sorry, Sonia Kostanoski and Chris O'Donnell. You're representing both you and, is that your boyfriend?
Husband.
Husband. Okay, you are suing Robert Sullivan for $1,490, 990 of it, security deposit, and an extra 500 for good measure because you had to miss work to go to court. All right, what's going on?
Okay, from March 2010 to April 2011, my husband and I rented an apartment from him, and
When was the lease supposed to be over?
May 1st.
May 1st.
So we moved out April 30th.
Well, the last day of April.
Right, yeah. Okay. We informed him 2 months before we were going to move out that we were buying a house in Westchester. So we told him we're going to be moving out, and he said that's fine. He said he decided he was going to put the apartment up for sale at that point, and that he was going to send over people to look at the apartment. He was trying to figure out which real estate agency to go with. And I said, yeah, sure, come by whenever, bring whoever you want to see it. So he had a few different agents looking at the place. He finally, which I let them in. He had one agency group that he decided on. And
how many different realtors came by to look at it?
I think maybe 2 or 3 different.
2 or 3
different groups.
How many different realtors came by to look at it?
2.
2. Okay. And then what?
Well, so they came over and they said, we're going to have a photographer come over to the house, and the photographer came. It took about 2 hours. Everything's been fine. I was more than happy to.
So 2 realtors.
Yeah.
And then a photographer for 2 hours. Are you there the whole time?
Yes, I'm there the whole time. And I'm very adamant about being there because I did not feel comfortable having anybody in my house when I wasn't there. We were paid up until May 1st, and I made that very clear to Bob. I said, listen, he came to me and he said,
May 1st, but it's really the end of April, right?
End of April 30th. Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So I said to him, he came and knocked on the door and said, the real estate agency wants to have open houses. And as soon as he said that, I got kind of nervous. I said, listen, I don't feel comfortable with that, especially my husband. I know my husband wasn't going to be happy with that either. And I said, I don't feel comfortable. And he said, okay, well, I'm not going to deal with it. You deal with the agent. I'm out of it at this point. You deal strictly with them. They're going to call you. They're going to email you, whatever. They'll contact you. Okay. So they contact me, and they come over to view the place, and they have the photographer there, and they're talking to me about what they want to do. And they said, we want to have open houses once a week, every Saturday. And I said, I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm more than happy to have appointments only, 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on a Wednesday night, twice a week, but I have to be there. That was my one thing. I don't want random people off the street.
But you didn't want it to be an open house for those 2 hours.
I didn't want it being like in the paper, open house at this address.
So that more people would end up coming.
And random people off the street read about it and they say, open house at this place.
Okay, you felt more comfortable if whoever was coming was someone who had actually contacted a realtor, was interested in a specific place. And
yes, exactly, signing their name, whatever it be, and that I wanted to be there. They wanted me to hand over my keys to them so they could have access to the apartment whenever they wanted to. And like I said, we were totally paid up, and I didn't feel comfortable with that. I had no obligation to. Now, in the lease...
Do you remember when the photographer came by?
It was, everything happened in the first or second week of March. The photographer... Of
March?
Yes, of March. So now, this is also, I have a lease here. I don't know if you have a copy of this. It states that... the tenant will provide the landlord with 1 month's notice of intention to not renew the lease, which I gave him 2 months' notice, and it will allow the landlord or agent to enter premises during that month to show them.
Okay.
So now this is happening in March. I was only obligated to have it in April, but I was doing it 2 months in advance instead of 1 month.
Right.
So this is just me doing him a favor. I didn't have any reason to.
Okay.
And so basically...
How did it get excessive? What was happening?
Well,
because your position is it got excessive.
It got very excessive. It got very out of control.
His position is you are unreasonable, and
Right.
that's why he's keeping part of the security, or all of the security deposit?
A part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go on.
So there was an incident. I had let people in from March. All of March, there was maybe 3 weeks went by where I had people coming in on Wednesdays, on Saturdays. The agent was there. He was, talking to me. I had random people coming in. It was
How many people came in to see the place?
In March, there was probably 10 people.
Okay.
And then in April, which is the month in question, that he's saying that I was, not letting people in, which is totally false. There was an incident April 9th. I have an email to prove, to show the dialogue between me and the agency. Lewis, which was one of the agents, was at the place, and all of a sudden, the door, he told me 6 people are coming by to see the place from, it was, I think, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So I'm there, and all of a sudden, the door is open, and there's 30 people in the apartment.
There's a parade.
They're coming in, they're opening doors.
How big is this apartment?
About 1,000 square feet. Okay. It's a 1-bedroom apartment, but it's a huge, it's a loft. It's a
and where
big
is
open
this?
space.
Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, yeah.
Okay.
So people are there. This one woman comes in with her baby. She's sitting on the couch. They're making themselves at home in my house. I have a dog sitting there. My dog is sick. She's getting nervous. I'm getting nervous because, there's people all over the place. So after they all left, and then I heard people coming in saying, oh, is this the open house? So then I'm like, wait a second, you lied to me. You told me it was only appointment only, and now you're having an open house and you're lying to my face about it? So I felt very uncomfortable. I'm alone there now with the real estate agent. Everybody left, and I told him, listen, I don't feel comfortable. I want you to leave. And he said, no, I'm not leaving. He refused to leave my house. He said, I have one more appointment coming. I'm not leaving until he comes. And I was like, I was stunned. I sat there. I felt like, I can't even describe how I felt. I felt like I was naked in my own house, So then, ironically, at the same time, I get a phone call from my husband's business. He was really sick at work, and he's like, you have to come get him right now. He's throwing up. They thought he had food poisoning. They never saw him like that before. Like, you have to come right now and pick him up. So I tell the real estate agent, you got to go now. Now it's time to go. And he's like, no, I'm not leaving. We got into a little altercation because you refused to leave my house. Finally, I was like, you need to go right now. I don't care. I put my foot down, kicked him out of the house. I went to go pick up my husband. And after that, that was when they said, I guess I was being unruly or whatever it was. That night, I told my husband what happened, how I felt really violated. So he wrote the email that is in question that says, call our lawyer, because he was really upset that I was alone in the house with a guy that wouldn't leave after I asked him to leave.
Okay.
So that's
all right.
That's
Talk
that
to me,
situation.
Mr. Sullivan.
It's a simple argument. It's breach of contract. The lease stated or obliged Sonia to allow my agent or me to show the place in the final month, which was April.
Now, your agents were showing the place for 2 months.
But she wasn't obliged for March.
Right, but she did.
Called her. She did, yes.
But you weren't re-renting it, right? You were going to sell it.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And that clause is a standard clause in most landlord-tenant agreements. And isn't it really to re-rent it?
Well,
I guess it could be for either. I'll go with you. I guess it could be for either. You might be wanting to sell it instead. Because there's a lot more people walking through there to sell a place than there is to rent a place. A lot more. And plus, each person who comes wants to come multiple times and bring different people. And, it's a bigger commitment. So.
Yes, Your Honor.
So now they're showing it all of March. Now April comes, and what happens?
April is the only period of time that's contested. She's obliged to allow them, my agent, to show it during that month.
There's no question. The lease says she is obliged to allow them to show it. The question is, was she unreasonable in attempting to limit it, or were your realtors greedy in attempting to be there too much? Because that's the part that's going to be up to me to decide whether or not she unreasonably withheld access, or whether your realtors were having a free-for-all there. So talk to me about that.
Very good. I think she was unreasonable.
Why?
She basically refused.
Why aren't your realtors here? Because they're really the ones. You weren't really. You weren't the one making.
Because I'm being.
No, that's fine. But your realtors. Are you going to be able to testify for me each and every conversation the realtors had, and each and every time they brought somebody? Did they give you all that info?
No. Well, I have some.
Okay.
But not all. But they're not being sued. I'm being sued. That's why I'm here.
No, I understand that, Mr. Sullivan. It's not. I'm not wondering why you're here. I'm wondering why your witnesses aren't here, the realtors, because they're really the ones who can tell me how unreasonable she was. What do the realtors tell you about how unreasonable she was?
Well, I have one document to that effect.
Okay.
And let me pass it up to the court officer.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we tried to schedule all the appointments between 12 and 1. We told Sonia we would do this for her benefit. Since we're only given 3 hours during any given week and 2 hours on a weekend, that's 5 hours a week of showing it. Wow. We have numerous groups who want to see it. When I have one group, it can be 4 to 5 people, since a couple may come with friends, parents, or child, and on top of that, a broker. We initially had 7 groups, but then had 2 people call for an appointment that day. There were 9 groups total that came in. 12 people maximum at any one time. One woman had a young baby, sat down on the couch for a moment. At 1:30, there was one group that left, and she asked us to leave. Sonia asked us to leave. She was upset so many people had come, and that the woman had sat down on her couch. Sonia seems to have fabricated a story about an emergency that her husband had to go to a hospital, because we then later saw him walking up the street absolutely fine.
That's because I picked him up. He was with me.
We have tried to be respectful and accommodating, have not even used the full 3 hours. Okay. Did she not let anybody in after April 9th? Is that what happened, ma'am?
After that day, we let in, he had an offer, and we let in somebody to do, an engineer to come in and to do an inspector's report.
Okay, but was there ever somebody else who, listen to my question
Yeah.
though, was there ever anybody else who wanted to see it just to see it, like a new party that wanted to see it?
No.
Okay. So did the realtors say, we tried to show it on April 17th and she wouldn't let us in?
They didn't say that to me, but she.
Okay.
She
Well, then what
slammed
right do you
it-
have to
she
keep
sl-
$1,000 of her security deposit at all, ever, then?
And welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So if the landlord's selling the building, can he show the building whenever he wants, or are there limits to when he can show it?
No, he needs to give you an appropriate time to get ready to show it. I would say a day's notice.
So he has to give some notice. Can he show it 30 times a month?
I think that he can show it as often as he wants to, as long as he just lets everybody know, or whoever's,
You buying what they're saying? Sound reasonable to me.
Yeah.
I know, it's just perplexing, I know. But you know what? We're out of time, so we're going inside the courtroom.
What is the damage that you have suffered as a result? Let's just say that she was snippy and unreasonable, which I'm not willing to say based on what I've heard. But let's say she was. How do you get to keep a security deposit on a rental contract for how do you come up with the figure arbitrarily of $1,000?
Because in effect, she's taking time away from the potential sale.
But
and
you have to be able
putting
to
off-
prove that you lost a sale over it.
I have lost the
You
sale.
might have.
Well, actually, I did yesterday.
Good. Now prove that.
Well, how can I prove it? I mean, a buyer
Here's how you
phone-
prove it. Let me give you a couple of examples. Your realtor comes in here and says, I had a guy who wanted to go in here and have an engineer go in there because he was going to make an offer, but he didn't because she wouldn't open up the door to the engineer. Well, we know that's not going to happen because she did open the door to the engineer. That's one way. Another way, I had a guy with cash in hand who desperately wanted to buy the place, and I tried to show it that day, and she wouldn't let them in. Well, that's not happening. We don't have any evidence to that effect. So what right do you have to keep the money for the security deposit? I'll tell you what right you have. Zero. That's the right.
No,
Zero.
I disagree. Your
I know you disagree.
Most respectfully.
I know you disagree. And when you wear the black dress, you get to rule on your own cases, maybe? Probably not. But I'm wearing the black dress, so I have to make the judgment call. And here's the judgment call. No way, shape, or form was this woman unreasonable. No way, shape, or form. That clause in the contract is really intended for re-renting the place. But I'll give you that. I'll give you that if you feel like selling it, then the clause should be there for that. Instead of saying to you, oh, no, you don't come in here in March. You can come in here the last month. They were totally polite about it and let you start showing it in March. The realtors, I know this is unfathomable, because realtors are usually such shrinking violets. I think they were a little aggressive because they want to make a sale. They don't want to make a friend, they want to make a sale. And so they need to be in there, they want to be in there all the time. Of course, I understand the realtors, they got to put food on their table, I get it. And you want to sell it, I get it. But to what point do these people have to constantly keep opening their door? But do they have to install a revolving door so your realtor can go there whenever? I mean, at what point is it just a little much? The worst part is that all she did was have a confrontation with him that day. You have zero evidence that she closed the door to him at any other point in April. If your realtors didn't want to keep marketing it any more of April because they felt it's unpleasant, we had that confrontation, that's your realtors. Then they market it in May, but she's paid up until the end of April. Now, the $990 you kept goes back to her. You don't get an extra $500 for good measure. Okay. Nice try. But the $990, verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
No. What's your reaction to this verdict?
The verdict is a very bad one, legally and argumentatively. Mm-hmm. She didn't allow me to respond. It was to her argument. leading up to the judgment. I had a response. She didn't allow it. And I basically think it's unjust and procedural grounds.
Well, it's been ruled that you kept the money unjustly, so...
Nothing I can do.
Are you going to open up your own courtroom and change?
No. That's her argument, and it's a bad argument. I mean, basically, the question you asked me is, do I have a response? Yeah, which is that I wasn't allowed to respond.
All right. Thank you. All right. Right down that way. Okay. What about you? You satisfied how this comes out?
Yes, I'm very satisfied.
That's funny. If you if you went to his courtroom or opened your own courtroom, you would like this decision. Isn't that funny how the loser doesn't like it?
Yeah, of course.
And the winner likes it. All right, so you glad you're out of there?
Yes, very glad.
What was it like to deal with him?
He's a slumlord, and it just got proved.
Harvey?
There's a cardinal rule in these cases, which is damages can't be speculative. And in this case, there's no proof that any of the plaintiff's conduct in any way caused the landlord to compromise the sale. And that will do it for this case. Litigants, for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.